All right, folks, we'll give it just a moment here to make sure that we have the usual transmission. Make sure I haven't picked up a tail here in my daily journey, traversing the busted up streets of woke and broke Fullerton, California, folks. That's right. All right, let's just give it a moment here for the notifications to go out. There we go. All right, this is your host, Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer, coming to you from the busted up streets of woke and broke Fullerton, California. My contact information is PO Box 4121, Fullerton, California, 92834. Joe Imbriano 777 at gmail.com. The FullertonInformer.com, WiFiDangers.com, 5GDangers.com, VaxDangers.com, and CellTowerDangers.com. Today is Tuesday, May 31st, 2023. I want to welcome you all to the broadcast this morning. It's a rather overcast, typical morning here for the last day of May. A little Catalina eddy. Southeasterly wind, pretty deep marine layer, and rather normal weather for the El Nino weather pattern that I predicted last year that we would be entering into, in spite of all the liars in meteorology, right? Such a fraud. Everything's such a fraud, right? You know, I got a text this morning from one of my followers, and she works in public health. I guess they're getting ready for the meningitis vaccine to come out, and they're really pushing for that. I shouldn't say to come out, to just get back in the center stage. They're starting to push for the meningitis vaccine on people. And so I wanted to talk about some things that you may never have heard about before. Long time ago, when some of you were young and before some of you were born, the U.S. military was working with primates like monkeys and testing the effects of microwave radiation on the central nervous system of primates. Now, when they were looking to see what they could do with microwave beams on monkeys' nervous systems, what do you think they were really testing for, ladies and gentlemen? And right now we are in the mix of the broken, busted up streets of Fullerton, folks. By the way, our local city government, they all belong in jail. Okay, I have to throw that out there. All you city council members, you guys belong in jail for hiding all the stolen road repair money. And honestly, most of the residents of Fullerton, they're living in their own mental institution. They keep electing these people. All right, I'm getting out of Fullerton now. I'm crossing into a city called Anaheim. Watch this. Look at that road, huh? I've just left Fullerton city limits, and I'm now dealing with real pavement. Okay, sorry I got distracted. It's just so irritating. So Project Bazaar was a program that the United States military was conducting back in the 60s on monkeys to see what microwaves did to the central nervous system of monkeys. Isn't that wonderful, ladies and gentlemen? Now, today, they're still testing, but guess what? They've had 60 long years to perfect what microwaves do to the central nervous system. You know, I don't mind telling you, many years I had a boat, pieces of junk. I had several. And when I was young and, going to school in college and waiting tables, I didn't have a lot of money, so I would buy everything used. My boat was a used piece of junk. The outboard was a used piece of junk. I don't mind telling you that I took a about a 12.5-foot wooden boat with 10-inch sides on the thing with a 3.5 horsepower air-cooled Sears outboard. Not kidding you, folks. And I didn't even have a radio. That's what I started with. Then I moved up to an aluminum one. But I bought this second boat, and I bought a radio, and it was an old Marine Band radio, and it had these crystals in it, right? And it picked up different channels and allowed me to transmit on different channels. Now, the electromagnetic communication systems, whether it's a cell tower, whether it's a microcell installation, whether it's a Wi-Fi access point, whether it's a home use Wi-Fi router, whether it's a smart appliance, whether it's a cell phone, whether it's a cordless deck phone on your nightstand, whether it's one of these newfangled devices like a flat panel television, they all have the ability to connect, transmit, and receive radio frequency signals. And, you know, electronics have gotten really advanced and really compact to the point where they can actually literally give you thousands of different channels on a little box on your nightstand, right? I don't know what they call those things. I don't own one. My point is, they can do a lot of variations in frequency transmission, wavelength, and they can run 2 and 3 frequencies, 5 frequencies at once, different types of modulation. You know, they can insert all kinds of packets of information in these radio waves, folks. Okay? I'm not going to get into all the details, but I'm telling you that for the past 60 years, they have been working on electromagnetic weaponry. And they're about to roll it out. They were studying the effects of microwave radiation on primates, on monkeys in the 60s, on the central nervous system of monkeys. Really? So what were they going to use these microwave beams on? What are they going to use for extermination of the rat population in New York City at the time? Because if you work for the school district, if you work for the college district, if you work for the medical system, if you work for any government agency, they're all pushing the narrative that we came from monkeys. So why do you think they're testing the weaponry out of the monkeys? Because it's going to be for us. Some of the effects of this you can find on the Fullerton Informer. Just Google Project Bizarre, the Fullerton Informer. It's a real tough one, folks. It's a real tough one for me to wrap my arms around because, you know, when I was young, you know, in my early years, I always thought that science was here to help us and was, you know, an honorable profession. As a child, I wanted to be a scientist. You know, I looked up to these people. I was trained from a young age that it was a noble cause to seek solutions for the problems that plague humanity. And so growing up, I aspired to get good grades and, you know, being the good young man that I was and trying to make my parents proud and happy and live up to their expectations. I went to school, got what they refer to as an education. But folks, what I realized is that science is really a religion that has a very nefarious ultimate form of dogma at its core, and that is to push agendas for the eradication of the human cattle so that the chosen ones can inherit the earth. And science is merely a religion that is practiced in the religious institutions that are otherwise known as the halls of academia, or in a more layman's term, schools. That's right. Schools are where the religion of science is taught, and the instruments of the religious ceremonies are performed. So when you graduate, they cube you. They put a square on your head, folks. Okay, when you get out of high school, they cube your head. When you get out of college, they cube your head. It's all Masonic and Saturn worship, folks. And it's all to get us to invent evil things disguised as things that are good for us, so that they can allow these things to be used by us, for us, and against us to do their dirty work of getting rid of us. I mean, seriously, folks, how to paralyze monkeys with a microwave beam? Seriously, why can't they figure out a way to put a well on everybody's property that hits the primary water, that runs on solar power, that gives infinite amounts of fresh, clean water for irrigation, agriculture, and drinking, and give everybody the access to the free energy from the ether that Tesla knew about, that the ancient civilizations tapped into, and leave us alone and let us be, right? No, instead they print money out of thin air and put us all into slavery and bondage through their satanic system of usury that has no jubilee year, no debt forgiveness, that continues to enslave everyone. And they feed us trash psychologically, sociologically, religiously, educationally, and even physically, so that we literally destroy ourselves and become human swine on the verge of suicidal behaviors on a daily basis. Disgusting, right? Every corner's got a donut shop, a liquor store, and a pharmacy, right? And there's all these transmitters in everybody's house. And, people are going to the doctors for all these prescriptions, for all these problems. I mean, folks, it's like, I bet you never even heard that baking powder can cause nocturnal renal hypertension and spike your blood pressure at night because you eat crackers, right? And so the doctor will never ask you about that. He'll ask you about your salt intake, tell you to not take salt and take the blood pressure pills, right? You see, folks, every single con has their answer. Unbelievable, right? It's like all the stuff that they feed us was developed intentionally to cause a specific problem, for which they have engineered a specific solution that is twice or three times as bad as the initial problem, that will virtually guarantee the development of further problems, which will result in the inevitable dependence on another allopathic petrochemical pill-pushing pimp in a white coat, which is really nothing more than a butcher's outfit, giving you a white piece of paper with some writing on it so you can go into the sorcerer's den and get your petrochemical poison called the pharmacy and pharmacological agents, right? My father came from the mountains of northern Italy. My mother's family came from the beautiful country of Ireland. And, both of those peoples do a lot of agriculture, right? Specifically, my father, he loved to garden, and growing up, he built these greenhouses out of whatever he could, bring home. Those plastic sheets under the fluorescent light fixtures? I remember he built a greenhouse out of those one year, and we had tomato plants that were like 8 feet tall, right? I couldn't believe the size of these things. But growing up, I used to garden and grow a lot of food and, ride my bike around, pick fruit out of everybody's yard. Because in Garden Grove, people had fruit trees in their front yards, and everybody was nice. and they talked to you. You knew all the neighbors by name. Now people park their car in their grass, and that old city, the bunch of drugged out zombies all over the place, graffiti everywhere. Everybody cut the fruit trees down. But my point is when I was a child, even though when I was, let me think about this. When I was a freshman in high school, that would have been, yeah. So my freshman year of high school, I'm taking Algebra 1, right? I think I was, how old was I? Let's see. I just turned 14, all right? What's a 14-year-old doing taking algebra? Why were they doing that to me? Why were they subjecting me to this trauma-based mind control, learning ridiculous crap that I would never use? Well, I'll tell you, I could not wait to get the heck home and go to my garden and work on my fishing equipment and work on my bicycle and go outside. And I was still making and flying kites at that age, folks. I'd make my own kites out of newspaper and bamboo and take the cash register tapes out of the trash cans from the liquor stores or wherever. And I would make these 50-foot tails on these kites and fly them with a fishing pole. I kid you not. I'd have a kite up there 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 feet in the air. Even when I was in high school, I still did that. My point is the trauma-based mind control, trying to infuse my brain with all kinds of garbage, was no match for the beautiful enjoyment of the things that I did that came to me naturally, okay? And that is why, even though I went through years and years of education, they never fully destroyed my mind, okay? Even though I was exposed to television and all of these things in the music and the movie industry, the Holy Spirit was able to come into me because I always left a space open because I was living in reality. And my heart was connected to reality. And as a result, God realized that I was worthy to be given that gift because I became a humble and contrite person as I realized the errors of my ways. And he rewarded me with the eternal gift of salvation through his son, Jesus Christ, as a complete atonement for all the bad things I ever did. He gave me a new life, a new mind, a clean slate. And as a result, here I am in front of you telling you the truth, folks. You see, they don't want you to think straight. I mean, when I look back, freshman year, Algebra 1, biology at 7:30 in the morning, really? And then I think my sophomore year, it was Shakespeare, that, Tavistock, suicidal crap, right? Garbage, right? And then came the physics. I think the senior year it was calculus and physics, and I'm still, just hating life, taking these classes. I couldn't wait to get home, right? And by the time my senior year came, I think things had changed a little bit for me, but I was still spending a lot of time outside and doing things I like. My point is that the mind control makes you so stupid that you'll believe anything you're told, okay? I mean, I actually came out of there believing that the earth was a spinning ball and the gravity held the water on, and, the sun was 68 million miles away, and that the moon didn't rotate, and, that the moon was some spinning ball that didn't rotate, or that it did rotate. After a while, I started thinking, wait a minute, how can we always see the same side of this thing? But the biggest thing was the shape of the earth and the nonsense of, why the rockets always go right when they go straight up. Folks, if they were trying to do that to monkeys 60 years ago, what the heck do you think they're doing to your children in these schools? And what do you think they're getting ready to do to the children in these schools? Do you think these people in the scientific community have good intentions for us? Really? By the way, have you seen the previews for these movies coming out? I mean, my daughter tells me about the trash that they're pushing, okay? And it's like everything's like demonic possession and murdering people and blowing things up and eating other people. This isn't a projection, folks. These people in charge are demonically possessed. They have sold their souls to Satan. These sons of Cain are not redeemable, folks, all right? And they want to take us down with them, all right? And that is why the weapons are going up and the agendas are going forward and the propaganda is rolling on. And the average person that has gone through the educational system is going to believe everything they see on TV, everything they hear on the news, everything they read in a magazine or a newspaper, everything some person that's been told by the government to say certain things about certain things, they're going to believe them. You know why? Because you know what the difference between that monkey that they were practicing the microwave weapons effects on 60 years ago is? What the difference is between that and your child, folks? Nothing. In the eyes of those in charge, in the eyes of those in control, in the eyes of those who seek to destroy us, the only difference between a monkey and your children is one is shaved and the other is not, right? One is hairless, one is covered with hair. With respect to their intrinsic value, they have none to these people. Look what they're doing to your children, folks. Look at what they're promoting. Look at what they've done to your parents, to your grandparents. Look what they've done to your family with the programming. Do you realize what they are capable of by using weaponry that you don't even know exists, that uses an invisible, odorless, colorless, tasteless, and silent operational system that has been put everywhere, including the confines of your home, by your own volition and efforts, installed by your own two hands in your own home? You don't think these frequency bands are found in these devices? You know what's unbelievable, folks? I'm going to tell you, this is what really saddens me. All of these so-called scientists, hundreds of millions of scientists all over the world, right? Hundreds of millions of people that have engineering, electrical engineering backgrounds. And where are all the people warning us of this? You know, they all turn a blind eye. My street where I live, you know, I got neighbors, folks, the most weaponized. I got a guy that's a 5G engineer, right? I got another guy that made sure all the schools got the Wi-Fi in the colleges. I got another guy that made sure all the elementary schools got the Wi-Fi and the iPads in the elementary schools. I got another guy and his wife that made sure all the high schools got Wi-Fi and Chromebooks with sheet metal walls in the classrooms, right? And I could go on about these people on my street, folks, but my point is they only wax their Teslas. They don't care about what they're part of. They only care, you know, they only... I feel sorry for them, you know. I mean, they're trash clanks. That's part of the catharsis, I guess, you know, full of bottles, right? Folks, when they turn this stuff on, you're going to know it. And I'm here to tell you that you're not supposed to be bringing this stuff into your house, all right? And I'm here to tell you that you need to understand what the con is. And I've talked about this for years. You know, 10 years ago when I was standing outside these elementary schools and high schools with these big banners and signs, and, you know, I kept getting the police called on me, and, you know, the principal's office would be aiming a laser pointer trying to get into my eyeballs with it, you know. And, you know, the resistance I faced, right? You know, it's hilarious. I'd be out in front of the schools holding up, you know, these signs and banners, and the police would come and tell me to get off of the sidewalk, that I was blocking the sidewalk. I refused to leave because I just move out of their way. But yet you don't see the police busting these street vendors on the sidewalk, setting up propane tanks and grills and all kinds of illegal, dangerous, flammable, explosive stuff as they're selling their carne asada or their tacos al pastor, right? It's hilarious, right? They only were messing with me because I wanted to protect the children. I wasn't out there running a taco stand with botulism in the box, right? But they let those guys go. They don't need workers' comp or general liability or anything. They don't pay rent. They don't pay any royalties on the pad lease, nothing. They're on city property, obstructing pedestrian traffic, and they get to run flammable, rickety crap, right, with no insurance. But I'm out there trying to warn young people about the dangers of what the adults were doing to them. The school district employees and the officials, as well as their parents, who drove right by and ignored everything and dumped their children off into these microwave boxes at Troy High School with sheet metal walls. They couldn't put the Wi-Fi in that school for a few years because the sheet metal walls were so impenetrable to the signals that they finally had to come up with a way to put in Wi-Fi systems that penetrated the sheet metal walls. They just simply put an access point in each classroom inside sheet metal walls, right? So when it comes time to turn on these frequencies, what do you think is going to happen? I've been warning people for many years, folks. I had a sign, a banner made up, and it said, "What are the implications of wireless technology in the classroom?" With a question mark. And then it said cancer, ADD, infertility, and then a series of dots with a question mark, with the implication being many more possibilities. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to understand what's going on, why they're doing it, and when you see something on the news or the television, understand how to read between the lines, ladies and gentlemen, because I want to tell you something. They got plans. All right? All right. We're at our maximum time allotment for the morning. A half hour is a long time for most people. Why is this camera like waving? Why is this like a rolling image here? It's not my car. Car's not moving now. I'm parked. All right, let's have a look here. You guys see me and hear me okay? All right, so the way to protect yourself from all this is the important part. Number one, don't bring this stuff into your home. Number two, buy shielding paint. If you're in an apartment, you can paint your inside walls with an electromagnetic shielding paint. It's about $150 a gallon. You can do a whole bedroom for like $150. Okay, just look it up. Okay, you can take care of yourself by not bringing the weapons into the home. When you're out and about, don't put a target on yourself. Don't wear these wearables. I'm seeing people with these watches, these smart watches, and these AirPods that they literally put a bullseye on you. Okay. All right. Shut your phone off or wrap it up in some EMF shielding when you're out and about. You can just buy a little cloth made out of copper fabric, or these RF shielding products will block your phone from being tracked or traced. All right. There are ways, folks, you just need to protect yourself. Okay. Hardwire all your stuff in your house. Okay. I mean, it's hilarious. These guys, some of these people on my street, they have 3 and 4 Wi-Fi routers in their house with repeaters and stuff. It's a good thing that the way my house is set up, there's plenty of space, and, there's protection from different things in my home. But, the average person that's living in an apartment or a condo, you've got to shield your walls. Okay. And if they don't allow you to paint, then you can hang these screens on your walls. Okay. But you're going to start getting a lot better sleep if you block all this Wi-Fi stuff. The Wi-Fi transmissions mess up your sleep cycle, folks. They mess up your circadian rhythm, and they suppress the melatonin production, so you can't go to sleep. You have insomnia. Then you take the synthetic, melatonin crap that makes you sicker and stupider. Folks, it's just a big scam. You know what's disgusting is, I drive around my community and there's all these giant buildings, okay? These factories, there's these massive factories, in spite of all the jobs going overseas with all of these treasonous trade deals. There's all these factories all over my city, these giant facilities, all these huge properties where they take in this raw material and they create this really messed up product by the time they're done with their assembly line. And these factories are called schools, folks, okay? They take a young, impressionable person full of vitality, and they literally finish them off and turn them into another brick in the wall by the time they get out. And they stick a cube on their head. They stick that square on their head when they graduate so they can fit into that block wall where they belong. Well, let me tell you something, folks. All of the efforts are in vain to destroy the minds of those who can be redeemed. Beware of dogs, beware of evil workers, beware of the concision, for we are the circumcision which worship God in spirit and rejoice in Christ, confidence in the flesh. Though I might also have confidence in the flesh, if any other man thinketh that he hath whereof he might trust in the flesh, I more. Folks, we don't trust in just this physical stuff, okay? All right, we don't just trust in these, these weapons we have to inflict harm. We trust in our ability of our spirit to lead the way. It's a lot easier to take the elevator to the 50th floor of a building than the stairs. But you know what the difference is? Having the wisdom to know to take the elevator. Because if you don't know what an elevator is and you don't know where the elevator is, you're not going to take the elevator, folks. You want a little bit more shouting? All right. I'm sick of it, and you should be too. All right. You should be sick of what they're doing to your children with your tax money. A 14-year-old girl should not be learning how to have her breasts surgically removed and grow a mustache. Okay. And they should not have to get their brains destroyed just so they can get a Minecraft cube on their head when they get out. My gosh, stop ruining your children. And you parents go along with this crap. You get what you deserve, okay? You're going to get everything you deserve. There's a special place in hell for all of you, okay? You want to ruin you know that the schools are bad for your children. You know that everything in there is a lie. You don't care. You dump them off. If you cared, you'd do something. All right, folks. I shouldn't have gotten upset, but you don't want to continue. You don't want to continue what they're doing to your children, because guess what? There's going to come a time where you're not going to be able to change what the past has done to your family. Now is the time, okay? Now is the time, folks. Now is the time to take a hold of your circumstances. I cannot believe what they did to me as a child in these schools, what they forced me to learn. And I guess I'll be honest with you, when I look back at these teachers I had, I should have known better, right? I should have known better. When I looked at this creepy old man that was teaching me Shakespeare, I mean, this guy was a creep, okay? When I looked at this guy, this beady-eyed little goony guy that was teaching me biology, when I look back at this guy that looked like Bozo the Clown that was teaching me calculus, right? And then when I get to college, when I look at this guy that was teaching me Karl Marx and Lenin and Trotsky, you know, and it goes on and on. All these classes I had, these people that were teaching me this crap were nuts. And they looked nuts. They looked creepy and crazy. And folks, I want to tell you something. It takes a special breed to do that to children. And you want to know something? It ain't worth it. Everything that they're being taught fits into this plan to kill us off, folks. Whether to go along with the agendas, to go along with the narratives, or actually be a worker bee in the system to do away with us. Folks, it's time to wake up. It'd be better for a millstone to be hung around your neck and cast into the depths of the sea than to lead one of these little ones astray. You know, I think that time has been and will always be for those that mess with children, folks. Their day's coming. And if they don't get it here, they'll burn in the judgment, and they will be cast into the lake of fire, folks. All right, I'm going to cut this. Time to go, all right? I want to thank you all for tuning in. It's a wonderful Tuesday, and I hope you have a blessed day and get the word out. Get the likes up, share and download, upload, get this video everywhere. See you later, folks.